Hi, my name is Abigail Hasty, and I'm an intern with the Atlanta Public Schools Nutrition Department. And throughout the summer, I've been researching sustainability. 3 topics that I have studied are food waste, sustainable lunch trays, and the environmental aspects of beef. So the first topic is food waste. Americans waste enough food to fill a 90,000 seat American football stadium. Approximately 1/3 of all of the waste is consumed at a retail and consumer level. While research has shown food waste is wasted by children is similar to the rest of the population, there are many ways to reduce food waste and teach students about the impact it has on the environment and their community. A goal of the district is to reduce the food waste. A study is done by a parent and teacher regarding the food waste of one school, Parkside Elementary. I will be reviewing this data and doing more research on the compromise on how to reduce food waste. So the school that this study was done it was Parkside Elementary, and the menu items that they were serving that day were Salisbury steak, hamburgers, and peas. And there were 83 lunches brought from home that day, and a total of 533 students in attendance in this particular day in the cafeteria who were eating. So as you can see, the study done by the parent and teacher at Parkside Elementary discovered a lot of information showing the impact that the food waste had on their school and the results to bring to the nutrition department in order to show them more about food waste in the Atlanta Public Schools. So as you can see, the milk waste was about 34.16 pounds. The water and juice was almost 5 pounds. Fruits and vegetables was almost 30 pounds. And other miscellaneous food was about 86 pounds. These are just staggering numbers for a total of 500 kids. They had, over 150 pounds of waste in just food. So there was a total of about 10 pounds of food waste out of the people who brought lunches from home. Including recyclables, there were no water bottles used because usually in the schools they either have water fountains or cups of water, and they usually have the choice of either juice or milk in the lunch line. And in the milk cartons, there's about 15 pounds of milk cartons that were not recycled, and that's about 507 cartons. So there was also a bag of trash, including trays and plasticware, which was almost 30 pounds. The trays that they're using right now are styrofoam, so they are thrown away in the trash and are not able to be recycled. There is about 15 pounds of milk cartons that were recycled with the company CHARM. But this did not include all of the milk cartons because, as you can see, there is a little bit of a difference in the milk cartons used. So there was a total of 164 pounds of waste that could have been composted but was not. So these are just some of the conclusions that the people who did the study came to. Not all meals were brought from home. Most of them are served in a cafeteria setting. And the school does offer an offer versus serve program, which means that a student can walk through the lunch line and have the opportunity to pick what they want, which can reduce food waste instead of putting a food that they do not like or don't want to try onto their tray, and therefore it will be thrown away. The school does not donate food to community groups. The school meals are prepared by a contractor, and recently they are switching contractors to another food company. So this has the opportunity to change the menus, and maybe students will become more open to trying new things. The food waste tracking software is not used, and the percentage of free and reduced meals is 100%. So materials management. Reusable trays and silverware are not used in any of the Atlanta Public Schools. This is a good way to help the environment by reusing trays and washing them, but this requires a added staff and machinery, which is also an added cost. Milk is served in cartons, but they can be recycled, and the school does not recycle in the lunchroom. So as you can see above, that their milk cartons were recycled, but it was through another company. And the school does not yet divert food or organic waste. So this means that we are making steps to hopefully be able to help reduce the amount of food waste in the 80 schools at the Atlanta Public School District. So during my research, I found a study on the impact of the new U.S. Department of Agriculture school meal standards on food selection, consumption, and waste. So in 2012 to 2013, the USDA made changes to the school menu standards, and the nutrition standards in the National School and Lunch Breakfast Program for the school year 2012 and 2013. So the changes that they made were to increase access to fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, increase the portion sizes of fruits and vegetables offered, and require a selection of a fruit or vegetable when going through the lunch line. The argument is, and the reason that they did this study is because food service directors, teachers, parents, and students usually thought that the changes that the USDA would make would increase the amount of food waste produced by children in a cafeteria. In the U.S., schools provide government subsidized meals to roughly 32 million students daily. Until recently, the nutrition standards for the National School Lunch and School Breakfast Program were outdated since 1995 dietary guidelines for Americans. In general, these meals were high in sodium, saturated fats, and low in whole grains and fiber. In response to these issues, the First Lady's Let's Move campaign to promote health, Congress passed the Healthy Hunger and Free Kids Act, which required the U.S. Department of Agriculture to update the National School Menu Standards and reflect the most recent dietary guidelines for Americans. So these beliefs were based on, unstudied resources and assumptions. The parents and people who were doubting the improvements made by the USDA did think that it would increase food waste. So they did this study to see if this was true or not. Some levels of food waste can be expected in a school cafeteria setting for reasons including food preferences, ranges in caloric need. So before this, there was not a study on whether the new standards did produce food waste. When compared to substantial food waste, particularly in fruits and vegetables, observed in cafeterias before the new meal standards. This study was conducted in a large prospectively collected sample of school-aged children to determine whether the new standards impacted student selection, consumption on school foods using plate waste data. And I determined through the study, it said that roughly 85% of students in the school came from low-income families and were eligible for free or reduced price meals. So going through this, I realized that the study greatly related to Atlanta Public Schools being in an urban city does have a large number of low-income and students and families. So the new school, they found that the new school menu standards did not increase in meal waste, entrees, fruits, or vegetables in this urban low-income population. Entree vegetable selection remained unchanged, and their overall consumption increased significantly. The increase for portion-sized vegetables also resulted in more cups of vegetables consumed. And also many low-income students rely on school meals for up to half of their daily energy intake. Therefore, it is important that school meals have implications for student health. Increased consumption of healthier foods during the school day may result in the displacement of energy-dense, nutrient-poor foods that students are exposed to after leaving school. Food service directors and staff should receive additional assistance as they implement these important changes for school meals, including increased access to healthy food options, financial support, culinary training opportunities, and creative programs to engage students to enhance meals served. Additionally, strong competitive food standards are needed to support food service directors' efforts to create a healthy school environment. So after doing some research, I found that there are a few ways to reduce food waste in a low-cost manner. So one of the options is to extend the meal times of the kids who are having their meals in the cafeteria. In one study that the Harvard Public School of Health did, they gave the students more time to eat lunch, at least 25 minutes versus 20 minutes. Had a 13% decrease, a 12% decrease in vegetable waste, and a 10% decrease in milk waste. Mealtime could not be addressed through can be addressed through federal, state, and local district or school policy. Another option is offer versus serve, and this is something that the Atlanta Public Schools does implement into their cafeterias, which is very beneficial to reducing food waste. It allows the children to decline some foods offered in a reimbursable meal. The goals of offer versus serve are to reduce food waste and cost while ensuring children receive nutritious meals they want to eat. The next thing is to engage students. Taste tests are very important. They open up a children's mind to tasting a new food and whether they can determine if they like it or they don't. And taste test is also a way for a child to taste a food or a small amount of it, so that if they put it on their tray, they won't waste the whole serving if they don't like it. So another way to reduce food waste is to have recess before lunch. Research shows that moving recess before lunch can increase student consumption and decrease food waste. One study found that 54% more fruits and vegetables were consumed before or at lunch after recess. Based on data collected in different states, recess before lunch is considered the best practice for its potential ability to increase consumption of school lunch and decrease plate waste. Meal quality. Meals are visually appealing and flavorful, are likely to increase student participation. A lack of excitement about meals can lead to food waste. So ways to incorporate meal quality. I believe that the new vendor who is coming in with Atlanta Public Schools will be able to increase the meal quality, and getting the teachers excited to show the kids that they're excited about the meals will also get them more open to be excited about eating the lunch. Also, another way to reduce food waste is to donate the surplus food. So like I said before, in the food waste study, the audit did determine that Atlanta Public Schools does not donate this extra food to community-based school or community-based organizations in Atlanta. Schools have a special role in educating the next generation about the impact of food waste in a community and on the environment. Teaching students that their unwanted food does not have to be thrown away and it can be eaten by someone who is hungry. The USDA strongly encourages schools to donate leftover food to appropriate nonprofit organizations, provided this practice is not prohibited by state or law. And as you can see in this picture, this is by the USDA, and it just summarizes some other ways and statistics about food waste. So as you can see, 31% of overall food supply at the retail and consumer level went uneaten in 2010. And scheduling recess before lunch can reduce plate waste as much as 30%. and extending the lunch period times from 20 to 30 minutes reduced plate waste by nearly 1/3. These are all simple changes that can add up in cost and reduce the food waste in a school if implemented. And this is a video about food waste and ways to reduce it, and it is done by the Harvard School of Public Health.
I'm Juliana Cohen at the Harvard School of Public Health in the Department of Nutrition, and I'm looking at how school meal waste has implications for student nutrient consumption, fiscal implications, and research as well. Roughly 32 million students eat school meals every single day, so the changes that we make to school meals have important implications for students throughout the nation. The study that we were looking at, we tried to examine 3 things. The first thing that we were looking at is if school meal waste was associated with nutrient loss in students. The second thing we wanted to look at was if meals selected could be valid proxies for meals consumed in schools. Measuring how much students consume in schools can be very expensive and time consuming. So we're interested to see if other markers like production records, point of sales, could be valid proxies for what students were actually consuming. And then the last thing we wanted to look at was the cost associated with school meal waste. And this could have important implications, not just for schools, but also their students and their families as well. And the reason for this is because if students aren't consuming enough at schools, they may leave school still hungry, and they have to compensate for this by purchasing food elsewhere. To conduct a plate waste study, what we did is we weighed 10 samples of every food that was offered to the students that day on a food scale. Then what we did is we numbered every tray with a unique identifying number. As students went through the lunch line, they selected all the items that they wanted to eat that day, and then when they got to the cash register to purchase that, a research assistant would be standing by the cash register and record the tray number and all the foods that the student had selected. Then the student would sit down with the meal, they would eat it, and when they were finished, they would bring it over to a research assistant who would then weigh every single food item remaining on the tray. When we went to the schools, we were surprised by how much food was being wasted. We found that on average, kids were throwing about 50% of the calories from the meals away. We saw that students were throwing out roughly 75% of the vegetables that they were being served, about half of the fruits that they were being offered, and also about 25% of the milk. Roughly $430,000 a year was being wasted on food, and this accounted for about 25% of the food budget. If we were to see similar waste among students throughout the United States, this would translate to about $1.2 billion in waste annually. Back in 2007, we collaborated with Project Bread to hire a professional chef to go into these schools and to work with the staff to help give them more skills and also new recipes to make the meals even healthier and better tasting. We made the meals healthier with more whole grains, more fresh and frozen produce. We also reduced the sugar and lowered the sodium in the school meals. We made sure to emphasize healthy fats, but also lower the saturated fats in the school meals. We were concerned that when we started to introduce healthier foods to the students, that they would reject them, and we were very excited to find that this was not the case at all. Students were likely accepting these healthier meals because we also focused on the palatability. What we found is that offering children healthier meals is critically important, but there's another piece to this that's important as well, and the food has to taste good for children to eat it. We think there are a few things that could help to reduce school food waste. Food service directors have an incredibly difficult job, and what we need to do is support food service directors by giving them more high-quality foods offered through the Commodity School program. We also need to give them more money to be able to purchase high-quality foods that kids will like the taste of as well. We also need to give them training opportunities for the culinary skills that they want and need to be able to serve the healthier foods that also taste good for these students. We were talking to a principal in one of the schools, and he said that after the chef came, he said for the first time students were eating the meals. He said in the past what had happened was that students would go through the lunch line and they'd actually walk over to a garbage can and throw out some of the food before they even sat down to eat the meal because they didn't like them. He said for the first time kids were getting the meals and then sitting down to eat because they liked them.
Okay, I think this video just stresses the importance of supporting food directors, and having taste tests, especially with new foods in a cafeteria. The next topic that I did some research on is the nutritional benefits of beef. So an issue was brought to by a concerned parent to Atlanta Public Schools about the environmental impacts of beef, and she wanted to remove all of the beef options off of the school menus in all of APS school districts. So after doing research, I determined that there are great nutritional benefits to having beef in a diet, and especially in growing children in schools. So adolescence is a very crucial time where development changes occur. Nutrient deficiencies occurring in these vulnerable periods may have a large impact on not only physical health, but also physiosocial development. It is also shown to have disease implications for later in adult life. A study was done by the University of Queensland in Australia, and it said that optimal nutrition during the first years of life is crucial for optimal growth and development, and possibly the prevention of chronic disease in adulthood. This is a very important fact to note because of the increased prevalence of chronic disease in low-income communities, and this involves the children of Atlanta Public Schools. So as you can see, these are the nutritional benefits of a 3-ounce serving of beef. So it has protein in it, and protein builds the bones, muscles, and cartilage and skin, especially in growing children and when they're very active. Protein needs to be consumed in a diet, and beef is one of the best ways to incorporate protein into a child's diet. Also, we have zinc. So zinc boosts the immune system and promotes wound healing, and it plays a major role in cellular growth. Also, iron. So the incidence of iron deficiency in the U.S. is estimated to be about 20% in young children and adolescents. There's also vitamin A. A lack of vitamin A will compromise the immune system also. We have vitamin B12, which promotes normal blood function and helps keep the nervous system healthy. We have selenium, which protects the body against damage by acting as an antioxidant. Phosphorus, which helps build and maintain strong bones and teeth, and it supports tissue growth. And lastly, we have iodine. An iodine deficiency is estimated to have lowered the intellectual capacity of almost all nations reviewed by as much as 10 to 15%. Next, I focused on the benefits of iron specifically in beef because it does play a large role in children as they develop and grow. An adequate supply of iron is crucial during adolescence to maintain hemoglobin levels and to increase the total iron mass during this period of rapid growth. Iron requirements for boys increase the growth spurt as new muscle is laid down. With the slowing growth and at the end of puberty, their iron requirements decline. So therefore, as they're growing, they need a higher level of iron in their diets, especially in the time that they are maturing. It is recommended that women consume 18 milligrams of iron each day, and men consume 8 milligrams. Although girls develop less extra muscle tissue than boys, puberty increases the need for iron. As this increased need continues throughout the reproductive life, the adolescent girl is therefore at risk for developing an iron deficiency due to the combined effects of continuing growth, menstrual iron losses, and a low take of our dietary iron. So eating red meat 2 to 3 times weekly will meet the body's nutritional needs. And the Atlanta Public Schools does offer 4 menu items on their menu, and I think they serve them about 2 times monthly. So also they also get iron through other nutritional foods like chicken and other proteins. that will meet the nutritional needs, and they don't have to eat it 2 to 3 times weekly. Red meat supplies the iron to the body and is more easily absorbed than iron in plant-based foods. Iron deficiencies can contribute to learning problems, low energy, and behavioral issues. And all 3 of these aspects are very important to fight against while a children is going through school. So here are also some benefits that beef has on the brain. So just going through these, it is a good source of B12, which is critical for the health of the brain and the nervous system. It may prevent neurological disorders. Kerosene found in red meat may play a role in preventing Alzheimer's and dementia. It is a good source of iron that helps transport oxygen to the brain, which helps promote thinking and learning in a classroom. It protects against depression, and it is great for memory. So as you can see, all of these things that beef supplies to a child when going through school and supports their growth is very beneficial. So like I said, these are the 4 options of beef that Atlanta Public Schools has on their menu right now. There's Salisbury steak, the All-American cheeseburger, beef patty melt, and meat lovers pizza and pepperoni pizza. So after doing some research, I determined that some simple solutions to combating the fight against the environmental aspect of beef, it is important not to take away nutritional elements from a child's diet when they are in a low income situation and need as much nutrients, especially from school, as they can receive. So like I said, offer versus serve. So if a child does want to turn down eating beef because of environmental reasons, they have the choice to. Also, reduce the amount of red meat options. So instead of having 4 menu items that have beef in them, maybe reduce it down to 2 options, and therefore we are not shipping in as much beef, but we still are incorporating it into their diets. And also another option is to incorporate more locally sourced beef options, which will help the local farmers and also does provide a higher quality of beef in the cafeterias. So my last topic that I did research on is sustainable lunch trays. The reason that I did research on this for Atlanta Public Schools was because they are wanting to reduce the waste that they produce as a school district, and therefore styrofoam trays are not environmentally clean, and they want to either use a compostable tray or something that can be recycled. So right now, like I said, they are using styrofoam trays, which are not degradable. They are lightweight, but it can contribute to climate change. And what they want to be able to switch to are biodegradable trays, which break down into 2 to 4 months and contributes to less climate change, and these trays are versatile. Also, styrofoam trays can be called photodegradable, which break down into small pieces when exposed to sunlight, and manufacturers will add the sun-sensitive component to the material to trigger degeneration. But sustainability requires that degradable material should break down completely by natural processes so that basic building blocks can be used again by nature to make a new life form. This cannot be considered degradable because it does not meet the minimum criteria of 60% biodegradation in 45 days. So Hutamaki, this is a brand that Atlanta Public School has used in this last school semester on Earth Day to try it out. It is a form of sustainable lunch trays, and this tray is made out of molded fiber, which is 100% recovered paper, and it is dissolved in water to form the fiber. It is then pressed and dried to the requested form. After packaging has dried, it is once again pressed and printed. Machines use this process to work with a closed water system in which the water is cleaned and reused, minimizing production impact. So what is molded fiber? Few materials compete against molded fiber when it comes to sustainability. Molded pulp is made from 100% recycled paper, which is made from cellulose fiber, and this is one of the plant's most abundant and renewable resources. So molded fiber tableware is 100% recyclable and biodegradable. So as doing research, I found or came across this chemical referred to as a PFAS. PFAS stand for a polyfluoroalkyl substance. And this class includes more than 3,000 chemicals. A reason a PFAS would be on a to-go tray or a school lunch tray is because it's used to manufacture non-stick, grease, and stain-resistant coatings on consumer products. So this is a quote that I found while doing research, and it says that PFAS are found in the blood of more than 98% of Americans and contaminate the drinking water sources for more than 16 million Americans. So PFAS are widely used on all different types of disposable and to-go trays, cups, plates, but they do have very serious health implications. So some of the health implications are associated with liver and pancreatic tumors, kidney cancer, and testicular cancer. And other implications that PFAS have on health include hormone disruption, immune system effects, and high cholesterol, thyroid disease, hypertension, lowered sex and growth hormones in children, and altered mammary gland development. Exposure to PFAS can be associated with decreased response to vaccines in children. Clearly, this chemical that is on most of the trays is having a large health implications on the children. And after doing research, I did find that most molded fiber trays still include this chemical, even though they are recycled and biodegradable. So here are two quotes that I found in a research article about molded fiber trays and PFAS. And they say, recent research has found that a significant percentage of paper packaging for convenience food is likely to be treated with harmful chemicals known as PFAS. These chemicals are used to impart water and grease resistance in paper food packaging and serviceware such as sandwich wrappers, takeout boxes, and molded fiber plates. Two retailers offered a molded fiber clamshell. Both containers had high levels of fluorine indicative of PFAS treatment. Tests conducted by the Center for Environmental Health found that molded fiber products consistently are tested as fluorinated. So therefore, this shows that this is something to think about when choosing different trays to put in a cafeteria that we are serving the food on to our children. Another company that I looked into has the name of EcoPacks, and they advertise that they do not have PFAS on their trays whatsoever. The Pebble Plate school tray is made of 40% earth materials, and this is the tray that the Atlanta Public Schools are looking into using. So it is made from rock from Montana and polypropylene, which is recycled plastic, and this is about 60% of the food tray. And so the benefits of this tray are their low chemical footprint, products have recycled content, and the drawbacks are it is more expensive than molded fiber products, and it may be downcycled, which is a recycling process that involves an item down to its component, elements, or material. So this just shows that the EcoPacks tray is not compostable, and it can be recycled if the recycling centers are equipped with proper separation technologies to deal with various weight polymers. Food waste does not need to be removed from the tray when wanting to recycle it. So although EcoPack's trays are not biodegradable, they are able to be recycled, and recycling has a large positive impact on the environment also. So in conclusion, after researching the hazards and implications of PFAS, I found it would be beneficial to Atlanta Public Schools to reduce this exposure through lunch trays used in the cafeterias. So I also found that on their EcoPack's website, to be considered eco-friendly, packaging must fall into at least one of the three categories. So the three categories are: it can be reused, it can be recycled, and it is biodegradable. So EcoPack says that all EcoPack's products fall into the recycle category. Each product is individually stamped or printed with its appropriate recycling classification. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone in Atlanta Public Schools for having me at the nutrition department. And I've had such a great experience and have so much enjoyed researching these new topics that I'm not used to learning about. And I've learned so much, and I really appreciate